Hello everyone and welcome back to the GeekWave. This is the low budget show. It's the show so low. It has no budget. That's okay. We don't need one. What's it going to do? What's the budget going to do? If you just get like hundreds of volunteers to come with their drones and cameras and sonar tech to this one location, you can get the job done anyways. What is money but just a concept and a construct, man? You know? What is it? What is it? Who cares? It's an episode of the GeekWave. Again, I don't know if the news is ever worth talking about, but we'll talk about a couple of things. Tragedies, of course, just common in today's climate, I guess, and there's a couple of other things that are worth noting about, but today's topic is one, I don't want to say it's like near and dear to my heart, because it's probably not, but it's just so fascinating to me. And something that I just love the idea and I love the concept behind it. There's just so much interesting stuff about this mythical creature that I want to explore. So we're going to do a Loch Ness Monster episode. I don't know why, we're just going to do it. We have a couple of news pieces we're going to talk about. Trailer, of course, which I'm very hesitant to talk about all of this new stuff. It's just all up in the air and none of it gets me excited or interested or piques my curiosity anymore. But I just kind of wanted to talk about this trailer because it's a movie that I know is coming out this year. We know it's going to happen. And there is just so much about it that's just utterly fascinating and macabre in so many different ways. And it's just so curious. Rebel Moon. It's the new thing that Zack Snyder's been working on. He signed a deal with Netflix to make a couple of projects. A zombie movie, which I guess he needed to get out of his system before he tackled his Star Wars. That's what this was. He pitched this originally to Lucasfilm back when they accepted pitches by anybody. And he's like, what if we did like a Western in space? You're like, that's what a Star Wars is. But there he made Rebel Moon now. He took the concept, he changed it to a Netflix audience, and we got our first trailer for Rebel Moon, Part 1. The Seed Bear. No, that's not it. The Seed Bear's Avatar 3. I have no idea. I don't care. Look, Rebel Moon, a concept I'm interested in seeing. If you wanted to take the Star Wars aesthetic and the Zack Snyder visuals, there's something to play with there. A whole movie for like 2.5 hours? I don't know if I want to see that, but for a bit, sure. There's something to explore in that. And the trailer, while looking very interesting, does suffer from that classic Zack Snyder problem where he makes something that just a couple distilled images of are very pure and very fantastical. And then the longer we do it, the more we think about it, the less good it looks. This trailer offered some pretty cool ideas. There's some Nazis in space that want to take over land, and then we do like a, Magnificent Seven to stop them. That's fine. And there's a big spider lady, and we got red swords that glow, and I'm like, yeah, fine, cool, you do that. Like, it's fine. Nothing about this was like, yeah, finally, this thing that we've all been needing is great. I think my biggest criticism with this is that because this was based on a pitch that Snyder had for a Star Wars movie, the fact that Disney didn't accept it is going to make certain audience members who are very angry at Disney Star Wars to be like, yeah, this is the kind of Star Wars movie Disney's afraid to make. It's so grotesque and adult. They want to make kiddie crap. And that is just the worst thing that could be said. I hate that. And it's annoying. This ain't your dad's Star Wars. Yeah, because it's a little cliche and pedantic and not that interesting because it's a Snyder picture. It looks good, but when you look at like the surface level-y like metaphors being built, what are we really doing here? The cast is interesting. I hope they do a good job. I don't know. You had like reports coming out, or I think one of the actors spoke out like, so it's like, this is like an adult and sexy and like R-rated Star Wars thing. You know what? I don't want to see that. I don't really want to see that. I don't think handling that properly is Snyder's like great idea. He's not the guy to do it. I don't know. It's such an interesting concept that could be done. But how much lore dumping is there going to be? How many just random characters are here to look cool? How many Boba Fetts are we going to have where you're like, this is a character that means nothing but they look good and nothing else really matters because of them? I want to be excited for this thing because I am more or less always on Snyder's side. I do like the guy, but the comments of like it's R-rated and sexy, there's swearing, there's like an extra hour of footage for the first movie that we might put on like a special edition. I hear that stuff from him and I cannot get excited about this project because I'm like, you're just baiting everybody into like having like the controversy around you, which I guess that's like your brand now, where people want that from you, but it's just so gross. And it doesn't come across as like natural or compelling. Just kind of sickening in a very twisted way. So this movie, I do like a big spider lady. I do like a good visual of like a ship flying off a planet. I don't know if Snyder can handle that with the brevity he's hoping for. But then again, I also know what to expect from him at this point. So if I go in this expecting something less than a Snyder pick, that's on me. If this is just Snyder doing a huge space western, that's fine. That only goes so far, though. All of his movies only go so far. I think we'll do a Snyder episode at some point. He is a director I could talk about endlessly because I do think he is very evocative of like the internet culture, where it's more about like the flash as it is to the substance, where it's like getting the instant reaction without thinking of like the surface level or like any deep meaning about what's happening. He does seem like that kind of a guy to me. And that's not just in this trailer, it's in everything he's worked on. I do like him, though. I think he's a nice guy. He plays Fortnite. He's a Mr. Meeseeks Fortnite guy. So that's cool, if you're interested in that. I spent way too much time talking about Rebel Moon. That's broken up into 2 parts. Great. Fantastic. Hey, with Dune pushed back, you have no competition to, I guess, potentially sweep an awards run, but I don't think you will because I don't think this is one Netflix is going to push to cinemas. But Netflix, you should push this one to cinemas because this is actually a movie that looks good and could play well to that audience looking for that like that hole to be filled. But you botched everything with Glass Onion. I don't think it's going to happen. So stupid. Let's move on to our next piece of news. We don't have much to talk about. I just wanted to bring this up because it's very fascinating. The Barbie film, the movie simply titled Barbie, has officially passed the Super Mario Bros. Movie to be the highest grossing film of 2023, a record which may not be broken by any other movie. What has the potential to beat it at this point? It's not the Meg, it's not Fast X, it's not going to be the Marvels, and Dune's not in this year, and it wasn't going to be Dune no matter what, and it's not going to be Aquaman, and it's not going to be Rebel Moon. There's really like nothing else this year that has the potential to knock it out. So Barbie, I'm going to say, is officially the highest grossing film of the year. It's probably the best film of the year too. And you also see predictions that Oppenheimer might end its theatrical run at like $950 million worldwide, which is insane. That is an insane amount for that movie. And if there's one lesson I hope Hollywood learns from that, it's taking big swings on big biopics or like less known properties. Like Oppenheimer's a property, but you know what I mean? Trying something new like that. The creator, I hope, like hits that niche in some ways. I hope it finds itself in that way. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. It's not going to be like, Barbie level good, but the creator does have the potential to be like the surprise hit of the year where it like makes in a decent amount of money, ripping on the idea of like AI, and audiences are clearly wanting to see original concepts again. So I think if anything has the potential to do that, it's going to be the creator that gets us out of there. Hopefully. And then just to end on a little bit of sad news for this new segment, we have a couple of deaths to talk about. The first one is, of course, Bob Barker, legendary game show host, The Price is Right. The man was 99. Crazy dude. That's great. Like, that's a life that was lived. He did fantastic. He's a legend. You will remember him forever. One of those guys that is just a name you will always recognize and understand. That's pretty impressive. So rest in peace, King. Go play with Trebek up in the I don't know, the waiting room of the game shows of heaven. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Also, Arleen Sorkin passed away, the inspiration for Harley Quinn and the woman who would voice her in her first appearances. I think up until Arkham Asylum, she voiced Harley Quinn, and then Tara Strong took over, if I'm not mistaken. Incredible. Like, the way that that character, Harley Quinn, has shaped the comic book medium and the landscape of DC, I think is more important now than it's ever been. And that doesn't happen without Arleen Sorkin just having that iconic feature, having that iconic voice, becoming this embodiment of a character. It's very impressive. And she's started other things. She's done a lot of, like, theatrical work, and she's just a talented woman. So it's very sad to see her go. 67 is very young, but she's a talented actor, a talented performer, and changed comic books forever just by looking like herself, and then one of the creators of the animated series being like, that could be Joker's girlfriend. We need a Joker girlfriend. It could be her. And then they got her to do the voice. Like, that is amazing on so many levels. Like, that's such a cool thing that she has under her belt. I think that's amazing. Congrats to Arleen. A life well lived that should have gone on way longer. It sucks how often when we don't talk about, like, the larger news pieces that we just dwell on the deaths on the GeekWave here, but important, prominent, powerful people that deserve to be talked about for their celebration and what they've done throughout this pop culture landscape. Great to talk about it, but we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we're all going to jump on our boat, head out into Loch Ness. Is that the name of the lake? I don't know. We'll head to the Scottish Highlands, and we'll go search for a mythical creature named Nessie. So this originally was just going to be like a piece of news I wanted to talk about for a minute, just because I'm like, this is straight up just like a fun thing that society has been doing lately. Do you remember like a couple years ago when everyone was like, what if we just all raided Area 51? And then like they had an event where people went to Area 51 and they hung out around it for a minute. Like, what would happen if the masses showed up and just raided a building? That's fun. Now, here's a fun thing that's also happening kind of in relation to that. I say in relation because it's kind of in like that conspiracy area of nostalgia and whatever. So a search for the Loch Ness Monster, billed as the biggest Nessie hunt in more than 50 years, has been taking place in the Scottish Highlands. 100 volunteers helped record natural and any unusual sights on Loch Ness Monster from vantage points on land. Almost 300 have signed up to monitor a live stream from the search, which is taking place Saturday and Sunday. So the time of this recording, it's wrapping up, I'm going to say. I haven't watched this live stream wherever it's taking place. I haven't watched it. But this is like, we have special cameras, special detectors of sonar, special like audio equipment for like the waters. We're going to find this creature. Like, this is the thing that we're doing now, like, that's kind of fun. What if we all just got like 1,000 people to like storm the Everglades in search of like a mythical beast? Let's just keep doing this for everybody. Let's like go hunt down Bigfoot. We'll get a bunch of us to go there. We'll go chase like the El Chupacabra out somewhere. This is very much, I think, a little more like a professional, respectable version of the Area 51 raid, where it's like, yeah, look at all these people that want to just like find this creature in the water. And even if you don't find this creature in the water, you could find something in there. Who knows what you'll find? It's possible something's in the water. So a bunch of volunteers are showing up to go search for this creature, and I just wanted to talk about this creature for a minute. I did a video a couple years ago at this point, which is so crazy to say that I've been doing this podcast for a couple of years. But I talked about like the cryptozoic creatures of the world, and in that I kind of talked about Nessie, which is arguably the most iconic one. Obviously, like I think for like an American audience, it's Bigfoot, where Bigfoot's like, yeah, that's a creature that could exist. We don't know what every single, monkey looks like, right? So maybe there is a Bigfoot out there, but Nessie I think has like more like world renowned acclaim, where you're like, yeah, we don't explore the waters. Maybe there's like secret caverns and caves that like head out from like this body of water into like the larger ocean. So like this creature can't escape. Maybe it only comes to like this lake part time. It doesn't live there forever. It's a big body of water too, if I'm not mistaken. Is yeah, Loch Ness, like it's big, right? The sheer size of the loch, which extends over 36 kilometers or 23 miles, is more than 200 meters and 650 feet deep in places, makes exploration a challenge. Okay, that's not bad. There's a lot of. Look at this. It can hold more water, 7,452 million cubic meters, and that's more than the English and Welsh lakes together. I'm looking at this article from the BBC as we talk about this. I find it utterly fascinating. There's also, Nessie is kind of like a cousin in like Canada here where I'm from, in like the Ogopogo lakes. Like, let's look up the Ogopogo for a bit, Oh, we're just having fun. Because you can't take this conversation seriously because it's so stupid. But I love it. I love the Ogopogo. I love all this stuff. Everything's great. It's in like the Okanagan Lake in British Columbia, which is great because I'll be in that area very soon. That's kind of fun. But Nessie, great creature. It's been talked about for a long time, which I think is very cool too, where you have like a legend that kind of spreads. One of my favorite things, like just like about these like creatures and these cryptozoic creatures and like these urban legends, is the idea that they're like a tourist trap. So if you're like a town or a city or just like a place somewhere, there's large ghost activity over here. This is like, it's like Roswell, right? It's like those kind of vibes where everything's just like a touristy trap, a conspiracy to get you there. So Loch Ness is like, it's going to be famous forever because the Loch Ness Monster might live in here. That's one of my favorite things ever that anybody could do for anything. Just the basic concept, the basic idea that they created this fake creature and like fake sightings of it so people would come and investigate and see the water. That's like such a fun thing that is just so human. Just lying to everybody about a stupid thing in the water. I love that. It's such a cool concept. Makes it so fun. And I guess, like because of COVID, nobody was probably like visiting the lake that much. So now that we have like the ability to go travel out there, hell, let's do it. Let's see what we can find. Now, wouldn't it be cool? And look, I'm very much, I've talked about this before in other places, I'm very much a firm believer in there's more to our natural world than we can conceive. On maybe like not on like a metaphysical spiritual level, but I think on just like a plain thing of existence, there is more happening behind the scenes than we know. Like there are depths of the ocean we have never explored. I'm sure there are like caves and caverns throughout the entirety of the world that we have never seen. The sands of like the deserts are always shifting, so it's covering different places that we've never explored. I'm sure somewhere in this world is a creature that has never seen the eyes of a human, has never been documented or photographed. I'm sure that is possible. So I love all of that, and I think it's a really cool thing to examine. The thing when it comes to Nessie, though, that I want to make abundantly clear is that I don't know that if this creature existed, it's still in that lake. Because you got reports going back centuries that something was in this water for a long time. Hundreds of years they've been reporting it. And there was like the big boom of like the 30s where it's like, we found something. There's clearly something here. And then that goes up into like the 60s and 70s and the 80s. There's always something that this water has. So I wouldn't be surprised if there have been reports out like Loch Ness's existence, that there was something in the water that was unexplainable, but it's also like at a time where cameras are scarce and just the written word could be like, that's a different type of fish we never seen before. That's like a different type of wildlife we've never seen before. That's like a different type of like mass we've never seen before. So you can't explain what it is. And then that just kind of grows into something different. And then people just like start to believe the conspiracy and something grows out of that. And a persona grows out of that, and it becomes a whole other concept and a whole other identity. Like that is 100% something that would happen. Like come on, that happens to everything. That's what all of this is. I do think like a great example of like this type of concept is from the Department of Truth, which is a comic book I really like, and it's weird to invoke it like a fictional book talking about like real life conspiracies, but it's like that book is like people didn't know what a gorilla was, and if they saw one in America, they would just like think it's something different, and thus the myth of like Bigfoot and the Sasquatch was born. I think it's kind of like the same thing for the Loch Ness Monster. A long time ago, people saw something they couldn't explain. It's a monster in the lake that looks like an old dinosaur, an old eel or something. Because there are reports, if I'm not mistaken, that maybe like there's giant eels in Loch Ness, and like they found like a big eel that lives there that could grow to like undeterminable size, which is also very possible. But then you have to ask yourself, like, why would an eel come to land or like pop its head out of the water? Why would it need to do that? Could be a big snake too. That's a whole other conversation. But as I do believe there are mysteries to this world we'll never solve, I don't think the like that particular monster still exists there. It can't be the same one. I guess it could. You got sharks that live for like 200 years, and turtles can live for that long too. So I guess it could be that one. But it's the same location. They haven't been able to find it. Modern technologies haven't captured anything bizarre, unless it has secret underground like places it can go to, unless it can like dig into the dirt, which is stupid. I don't think there is a big creature in Loch Ness. Again, I can't confirm that, and I'm not going to try to confirm it. All I can say is we would have found something by now, which is like the worst thing you can say to a conspiracy guy. I don't know. I don't know. It's all hearsay in that, but wouldn't it be sick if this big event that's taking place, they found something, even if it's like a small, minuscule document that there's like a creature that exists in the water somewhere. We can't determine what it is. It doesn't sound like a normal like fish or like something that's aquatic. It doesn't move normal. Like there's weird like vibrations of like the way like a fin or something is moving. That would be so freaking sweet if we just discovered like a new sound or even a picture. Like we got some great cameras today, and this is always like I think the case for a lot of this stuff too, with like these urban legend and mythical creatures, is like, why can we never get good footage of them? Because it's like, again, it's a conspiracy thing, of course. It's also like a publicity, you're building like this false illusion that these things are real and they can't be photographed. What if we found something? Do you think the world would change? Like if we uncovered a creature that looks like our reference for Nessie, like the classic Nessie, the old school kind of like aquatic dinosaur with like the long neck, the small head, the big fins, like that classic aesthetic for Nessie. If we uncovered that creature this weekend, like if we just like we found it, we killed it, we found it, we got it, what do you think would happen? Would the world change? Would anything be done differently in society? Would it change like our understanding of life as we know it? Like that's so fascinating to me because I don't think it would, because we're always uncovering a new species. If anything, if we were to uncover the Loch Ness Monster right now, I think a couple things would happen. One, there'd be a lot of studies done to the creature to see like how it survived, what it is, if it's real, that kind of thing. And the hunt for these other kind of like cryptozoic beings would go harder. Because at the same time too, this is all kind of like conjuncture and with like other shit I'm talking about. At the same time too, we just had like the huge leaks from like the government, the CIA, about the UFO leaks and like all this stuff, like these unexplained objects in the sky. Like what are they? How do we differentiate them? So I do think, unfortunately, it is very likely that could also play into like this conspiracy that finding this creature in the water that we can't explain where it came from or why it's here would lead to people thinking more of the UFO stuff is possible. It's all connected. Every one of these things is connected, and maybe we'd explore like the depths of the water more. Like we certainly have the technologies to like go down to Loch Ness, right? Like we could send a sub or something down there. Like we could do like a thorough search. I'm sure we could. And I don't know, maybe it's like because society has like grown and there's just so much like pollution in the air and the water. Like these creatures get like talked about enough. But it's also like it's the 1930s. You see something different in the water. What else are you going to do with your time? We're distracted by all this other stuff that it makes it very unlikely any of this is real. But that's not an issue we need to dive into. That's nothing. That's just a conversation for whatever about whatever. None of that matters. But this creature, pretty cool. Should we go through some of the history of the Loch Ness Monster? Maybe. There's something about this character that's really interesting. And it's just that, again, we don't explore water that much. Are we afraid of water? I don't think we're afraid of water. We just don't go in there, and we don't want to search it. Which I get it. It's kind of terrifying. And Scotland, too, I think that also like adds to like the allure of the creature. Because, if it's like another American one, like who gives a shit? Like we get it. There's a Yeti somewhere. It's like who cares? It's not that big of a deal. So there's, I guess, a sighting. This is all from the Wikipedia, by the way, so take it with a grain of salt or whatever you want. Sightings as early as 565 AD, I guess that's what that's saying, of like a water beast from these lands or something. Again, it's a different time. You tell me in the year 565, would they know what a whale is? Would they know what a seal? Maybe look at like a seal that's going into the water and it's freaking you out. Would they know what a dolphin is? Or an eel or any of that shit? Like, would you know what those are? That, like, when we go that far back, just like, because we have the internet, and even when you're like a kid in like I would say even up to like the 50s, when like we start to like make things for teenagers and things start to happen. Like, you know what an elephant is, but if it's like, 1714, do you know what an elephant is? How would you hear about that creature? You go even farther back, like, how would you hear about a dog? How would you hear about an ostrich? Like, that is just so fascinating to me. Like, you could go your entire life in that period without knowing that there's people living on the other side of, like, that body of water, that there's literally, like, things happening all around you. Like, a whole civilization could be wiped out and you'd never know. Like, that's all so weird to me. That would happen. So yeah, I mean, of course there's going to be like a creature in the water in the year 565 by St. Columbia that they're not going to know what it is. Like, it could be anything. It could be a pissed off manta, I don't know. They say it's like this is what led to like the modern day myth, like the Celtic water beast. And yeah, the Kelpie, like that old like, myth from that world, of course. There's stuff in there that can be explored. But who's to say? And that might be a topic for another day too. It's like folklore and that kind of stuff. I think there's a difference because Nessie is more like a hoax, or what is it? It's like a lie, that kind of a thing. I don't know. It's very fun. I guess it's kind of folklore-y. I don't know. It feels like it's too connected to like the cryptozoic, just like that kind of vibe to be really folklore-y. But that concept of a creature does exist, We all saw the Fantastic Beasts movie where that thing happened in there. And then again, a lot of reports from like the 30s. You got a couple from the 1800s. But how would they know? What would they know what any of that is? Maybe they just saw like a big lizard. If you were like, you've never seen an animal in your life and you suddenly saw a crocodile, you'd think it's a dragon or a dinosaur, right? If you saw a crocodile swimming in a river, you'd think it's a creature here to murder you. So I don't buy that. I just don't buy that kind of stuff. I think it must have been like a stupid looking seal because that's what it'd have to be, right? I don't know. Reports from the 30s, a bunch of them. There's no good sonar like research from the 50s is going to give you any information from there. None of this is good. And there's always people who are going to try to like, lie on the hoax and build something from it. None of it's real. None of it matters. So in, I guess, the most recent one from 2021, it was reported that a 20-foot creature was captured on live stream near the loch. I wonder if we can find that footage and we can look it up, because I'd be very curious to see if that is like anything, and if I find it, maybe I'll like put it up on the socials or something. So this, I don't know, I guess we'll just see what this one is. This looks like it was uploaded a couple of years ago. Not a couple of years ago, this year. This is from Real Life Monsters. Oh, it's not real then. If it's from a TV show, I don't buy it. This is the History Channel YouTube, so yeah. No way this is real. I'm already calling it out. What are we looking at here? I think I've seen this video. Yeah, this is from 20... Yeah, it's like looking at Loch Ness, and then there's just a creature that might be seen in it. And you're like, yeah, maybe. But probably not. Probably not, because what would that be? What would that be? I don't know. All right, is this the one I'm looking at? Okay, this one's from the New York Post, so it must be it. This must be the one. If this video would load, let's see what we got here. Don't you like me looking at a video that you're not seeing and reacting to it? Okay, that's interesting. That is fascinating. I could see how you could perceive that as a creature of myth and legend. That to me looks like a crocodile, but I don't know. That could be anything really. I'll put the picture up. I'll put the picture up at this point in the video, and you could take a look for yourself. But that to me, that's just like a creature. That's like not really anything. I don't know. It's hard to say. But that's what we're doing here. It's not real. Nessie's not real. Not the Nessie we know it to be today. It doesn't exist in like that water anymore. It can't. We would have found it by now. I don't know. Unless it's smart. Maybe it's not. I don't know. It's very crazy. I also was thinking, like, should this video even have like a section where we talk about like the various Loch Ness Monster depictions from like movies and stuff, that kind of thing. But like, there's so many, like every single cartoon has kind of like done that vibe where you find one in like the water. I guess the most popular one would be like the water horse, that movie that nobody remembers. I don't know. There's nothing to really talk about with it. I could do one, but it's like, who cares? Scooby-Doo fought him. It doesn't matter. It's not that interesting. What is interesting is like the life of the Loch Ness Monster and how it's pretty much like, I think it's always going to exist. Like that kind of concept of a creature in the water that's big and mythical and we never know. It kind of starts with Loch Ness and there's never been like another one. Even if we were to find like a freaking megalodon, that's a shark that's big. Like we know that could exist. And we're always finding weird fish. So, I mean, it's possible. I don't personally think we would find it in like Loch Ness. It can't be there now. Like we just had too many things going on or it would be there. But hey, if it brings tourism into the loch, that's not a bad thing. Is this the live stream? Did I just find the live stream? I don't know if I did. I'm not seeing it. This is okay. Is this it? Is this the live from Loch Ness? It might be. That's pretty cool. Okay. We found it. It's on YouTube. Okay. So, oh my goodness, that's been going on for like 12 hours. That's crazy. That's pretty cool, though. I mean, I'd love them to find something. But Loch Ness, man, it's a great creature, great mythology, something to explore there. It's fun. I'd love us to find a big dinosaur in the water. That'd be cool, but I know we won't. I just know we won't. Because nobody knows what anything was back then. And they're just creatures all the time. But again, there's a lot we haven't explored in the ocean, and the water is full of things we'll never know. If this creature is intelligent and can like conceal itself with camouflage and hide. And was there reports of like this might just be something I read maybe in like a cartoon or something. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure like there has been like reports or something that there's like caverns and like hidden ways leading from Loch Ness to an ocean or a bigger body of water, which means the creature could escape if it did exist. Or maybe, just maybe, it's a guy piloting a big creature in the water, like in Phineas and Ferb or Gravity Falls, which is the one that had the guy be like the fake creature in the water. Or was it both? Or was it The Simpsons? Or has every single buddy in the history done that? Like, reveal where it's a fake guy piloting a thing in the ground, that seems very likely to me too. But hey, is Nessie the best one? Probably. I think like right now the one I think we'd most likely be able to find is an alien. That seems like where we'd go first if we were to find one. Bigfoot is clearly one we'll always be hunting for. I think that creature is aloof and near impossible. But if Loch Ness is like located in one spot, there is the possibility that somewhere down the line we could find like the remains or the bones of a creature we don't know. But if right now we got the news that a creature did exist there that we've never seen before, I wonder if it would break the mold, if it would surprise anybody in any single capacity. Because personally, I don't think it would. You know, sometimes we see new fish deep in the water every day. Is the Loch Ness Monster any that different? I don't think so. But that could be a cool thing to explore. I wouldn't mind trying to understand what that could be. I'd very much appreciate to see what could come from that world. But who's to say? We talked enough about the Loch Ness Monster. It's a fantastic world we live, isn't it? Where a creature of mythical proportion can exist and become something we've never seen before. Amazing. Maybe we'll find her. Maybe we won't. Maybe she had a bunch of kids and one of them hopped over to British Columbia to become the Ogopogo. Maybe one of them escaped to the ocean and became like the Kraken or something. I don't know. Anything's possible. And it's pretty cool, and that's pretty fun. I hope we find it, boys. Let's find it. Hunting a creature of mythical myth. That's just like, is there a cure for male loneliness? Hunting the Loch Ness Monster? Maybe. We'll find out, won't we? Until then, thank you all for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck. The truth is out there.